Welcome to another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast, featuring the almighty B Live, the money man Scottie D, and your host, the head of creative, Eddy. The Sports Bros Podcast is a sports podcast that's by the fans, for the fans, talking sports just the way you like it. And without any further ado, let's give it up for the Sports Bros. Once again, it is time for your favorite sports podcast, none other than the Sports Bros Podcast. You see us in full gallery view here. You know, B Live got his Hulkamania pose going on here. Scottie D wearing his Bucko shirt. So you know that means, brother, WrestleMania is also right around the corner, and so is baseball season as well, too. I can go on my incoherent rambling, but I'm going to stop. And with that being said, I have two of the best co-hosts in the world. Introducing first, the almighty B Live.
What's happening? What's going on in the world today, man? That question never gets old for me. I don't know about the listeners. I apologize. But hey, 149 episodes long, and there's absolute craziness going on in the world. But hey, let's focus on what we like to talk about. That is sports and madness, baby. We are down to 4, the final 4. Y'all already know what this show is going to be filled with. So I'm going to just go ahead and get out the way real quick. Introduce the other guy. I'm not even going to pick on him this week. At some point in time in the show, I'm going to pick on him about something because he's going to say something and I'm going to say something else. But I digress. Eddy, go ahead and introduce the other guy. You know what I'm saying?
But, you know, we always have plenty of show for that. And with that being said, here is the other guy. He is the pride of Washington, Pennsylvania. None other than the one, the only, the money man, Scottie D.
I'm so excited, and I just can't hide it. I'm about to lose control, and I think I like it. And why am I excited? Well, guys, a number of reasons. First of all, we got a very special guest we're going to talk to here in a little bit. I'm excited about that. I'm excited for the Final Four coming up. Duke, North Carolina, Villanova, Kansas, blue blood, full Final Four. I'm excited for that. I'm excited because baseball season's coming up next week. I'm excited because it's WrestleMania week. And I am excited for the most anticipated movie sequel in history, G.I. Jane Part 2.
You off the that's how we doing things?
I am excited.
No, we will not. No, we will not. No.
I should slap myself for that one, huh? Somebody should slap me for that punchline right there.
I'm gonna slap you.
Punchline.
For anybody out there listening, just look up alopecia. Just look it up before anybody else jumps to any other conclusions and bad jokes and everything. But we came here to talk about sports. That is not sports related whatsoever. And unless you're talking about the movie Ali, that is boxing, but that's neither here nor there. Eddy, cool, Amtrak, you know what?
Hey, I made it. I'm the world's greatest. All right, let's get this thing started. Here it is, the top of the order. All right, so let's go ahead and hop into the final 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, we're going to talk about the Final Four basketball. And fellas, in particular, it's blue blood mania. Just as you said, all across these last 2 games, we have North Carolina Duke and Kansas Villanova. We'll get to Kansas and Villanova in just a second. You're going to love the discussion that we're going to have about that. But fellas, let's go ahead and opine upon this here North Carolina and Duke game. It is a rivalry. It's the last hurrah for Coach K. I'm looking at the kids from North Carolina. They're so happy. Hubert Davis, ugly face, boohoo crying. One of the kids from Duke, he called Coach K the GOAT. He's like, boy, shut up. I ain't trying to hear all that. Fellas, what can we expect out of this game between Duke and North Carolina?
We can expect everything. Anything that you can think about when it comes to a college basketball game, expect everything. You'll be surprised by nothing. When I tell you that, let's start right here. I reside in Fayetteville, North Carolina. I'm in the heart of college basketball royalty. Raleigh, North Carolina is an hour away. Durham, North Carolina, where Duke resides, is an hour and a half away. Chapel Hill is an hour and a half away. Miles separate the two schools. Everywhere you go to watch a basketball game, you will find a Duke fan here and a North Carolina fan here. Everywhere you go, this is the most highly anticipated match in the history ever since John Naismith decided to, in his mind, to put a ball together and put a net and a rim at somewhere on a tree branch, whatever.
James Naismith.
Ever since the invention of the basketball game, there's never been a match, never been a game, never been. It's never been more highly anticipated than this game right here. Expect everything. This is the epitome of madness. Where do we start? Do we start with Duke and Ranchero balling out? Do we start with Armando Bacot for North Carolina? Unstoppable in the paint. Where do we start? Who's going to step up? Man, it's just I'm all over the place. I'm woo, buddy. I usually do karaoke on Saturdays. The game is at 8:49. I usually start at 9 o'clock. I called my boss. I said, I don't think it'd be a good idea to have karaoke on Saturday during the North Carolina Duke game. I'll be there, but I would much rather turn the TVs all the way up. Ain't nobody trying to hear me sing That Went Down to Georgia. He was looking, no, ain't nobody trying to hear none of that. Man, I'm just telling you, just please let me have, I'll start karaoke after the game is over. I'll do it then. Doesn't matter, but just woo, Roy.
This is corny that it's written, like if you write it this way, it's corny because we've never seen this before in this tournament. I mean, there have been times before you say, oh, if Duke gets to this bracket and North Carolina gets, they could meet again. They could meet in the finals. It's never happened. Not that I'm aware of. I don't believe this has ever happened, right? Never.
Ever.
First time ever.
First time in Hubert Davis' first year and Coach K's last year. Coming off of Coach K's last game at home that got ruined by North Carolina. And they were so excited talking about that, not thinking they were ever going to have to face Coach K again. And here he is just a few weeks later. I mean, I'm glad that I'm not a fan of one of these two teams because I don't know how my heart could take this going into this weekend. I mean, not only that, but North Carolina is a team that I didn't really take all that seriously coming into the tournament because they had some bad losses earlier. Maybe you can attribute it to the fact that things were askew last year with all of college basketball, and they're under their first year with Hubert Davis, and the team hadn't gelled together yet. Whatever, they're gelling now. I mean, I talked last week about how not only could I not believe that North Carolina had built a 25-point lead against Baylor, but then they lost that 25-point lead and had to have some heroics in overtime to win. Well, when they got hit in the mouth against UCLA what was it, Thursday night or Friday night, they responded. They didn't collapse like they did the week before. And was it Caleb Love at that point? He just said, we are not losing tonight. We are not losing tonight. And he got hot down the stretch and he carried them across the finish line. And then, you got to give credit to St. Peter's. Nice story. But I don't think any of us really thought they were going to beat North Carolina. Did we? We didn't really. North Carolina just on TV looked too big for them. They just, it was a noticeable difference on TV. And, you see St. Peter's in that game and you think that's really a 15 team. But North Carolina doesn't really look like a number 8 seed team. They look like much, much better than that. And that goes back to the fact they had some losses earlier in the year and they're putting it together right now. I mean, these teams and Duke, I feel the same way. I thought they looked lousy and lethargic against North Carolina. Didn't look so good in the ACC tournament, but now they look good again. And it's like, I don't know who to even pick to win this game. Do we even know a line? Has anybody heard a point spread? It couldn't be more than a bucket, I wouldn't think. Either way, I would suspect it's got to be no more than a 2-point spread, but that's riffing off the top of my head.
But I haven't, you know what? Vegas can kiss one. There ain't nobody caring about it. Well, I know you might want to bet on the game, but there's no way you can put an honest, decent line to this game. You have no idea. North Carolina North Carolina shouldn't be ranked 8th. They should have been an 8th seed. Duke is a 2 seed. St. Peter's has showed us clearly they weren't a 15 seed. So, I mean, but at the end of the day, I mean, North Carolina was just bigger. And I mean, take nothing away from St. Peter's talent. Those guys are talented. They've got a heart. They were ruthless. They beat teams that were bigger, faster, stronger. They brought all the heart in the world. But at the end of the day, North Carolina's strength was St. Peter's weakness, and that was in the paint. And Armando Bacot, it literally has been unstoppable this entire postseason in the paint. And they leaned on him heavily. He had 20 points, 22 rebounds in that game against St. Peter's. Like, this dude is just he's a beast. I saw that one coming. Nothing to go against the Peacocks of St. Peter's, Jersey City, New Jersey.
Heck of a run.
Absolutely. But man, this is where it comes down to.
Are you excited? Are you excited?
Very.
I'm excited. I wish I was in the Carolinas right now for this one. Overtime Sports Cafe back in the day. Oh, this would would charge a cover charge for this one.
You would have to. You would have to.
Fire Marshal be there, just like no. Yep. You gotta come with me. Can't get. Hey, you literally, like, if I was a sports bar manager owner, I'd have the projection screen outside. I have roped off everything. I would have extra tables. This will be exactly what it's going to be. Like,
stakes never been higher.
Never, ever been higher. Only time that's remotely close. I'm gonna throw some extra history at you. 1971, NIT was the only time. There has been one time in postseason where North Carolina and Duke faced, and North Carolina did beat Duke, if I'm not mistaken. Let me pull that up real quick. I had it right.
Back then, the NIT was a lot more important back in those days than it is today.
And North Carolina beat Duke 73-67 in the semifinals in Madison Square Garden of the 1971 National Invitation Tournament. Man,
even back then, that rivalry hadn't blossomed anywhere near to what it's gone through the years, through Dean Smith, through Coach K and Roy Williams. I mean, this is really as exciting as you can possibly get for a huge rivalry. I mean, it really is. It'd be like if you take Ohio State and Michigan and put them in a national championship game in college football, or Auburn, Alabama, put them in a national championship in football. I mean, you're talking like some of the biggest rivalries and putting it all on the line for them. I mean, only way it's bigger, obviously, is if it would be one game later, if it was for the national championship. But nonetheless, Final Four, you go into the finals if you beat your most hated rival. Gotta love it.
I'm gonna do you one better. Like I said, I'm in the time machine right now, because this almost happened in the national championship, 1991.
Ooh.
Duke will end up winning it all against UNLV, but let me take that back.
They beat Kansas in the final.
They beat Kansas in the final. They beat UNLV in the semifinal. North Carolina faced Kansas in the semifinal and lost to Kansas. And just to throw out there, who was coaching Kansas at the time?
Roy Williams.
Roy Williams.
You had Roy Williams, Dean Smith, and Coach K in the same Final Four. Wow. And Kansas outlasted North Carolina. And of course, Jerry Tarkanian or UNL. Yeah. Dude. So I mean, but that's how close it was. That would have been the absolute dream match. But Kansas did outlast North Carolina, and then Duke ended up beating Kansas in the final. But it was close. But we actually have it in the Final Four. Again, we can only wish that it was the national championship. But there are two other teams out there, and we cannot forget about them. There are two other teams out there, and Kansas being one of them, and Villanova being the other. That's going to be an epic matchup as well. This is literally blue blood central, everything that we could wish for. North Carolina has 6 championships. Duke has 5 national championships. Both Villanova and Kansas have 3 national championships. Man, like literally, come on, get my notes together because I'm telling you, I came in hot with it. UNC has the most Final Four appearances all time with 21.
Wow.
Duke has 17 Final Four appearances. Kansas has 16 Final Four appearances, and Villanova has 7. This is sorry, mid-majors, but this is sorry. We want the Cinderella story. We want the double-digit seeds from time to time, but no, this is it right here. This is college basketball purity, royalty. The beginning of an era with Hubert Davis, the end of an era with Coach K, Jay Wright for Villanova, the up and coming day. You cannot complete an NCAA March Madness tournament without mentioning Villanova at some point in time. Then, of course, Kansas. Come on. Kansas has the most wins of all time in basketball. It's everything we wanted. Woo! Blue on top of blue and more blue. All 4 teams have blue in the colors.
Oh, wow. Hey, that's up.
Stay home, Gonzaga. Quit wasting my time. Quit trying to fool me every year, Gonzaga. Stay home and learn.
There's 2 things I want to say. Number one, can we all agree that Shaheen Holloway is gone? Somebody's going to pick him up real quick. Somebody's going to give him a job somewhere.
It happened.
It's not confirmed. It's not confirmed.
Okay.
There was discussion. There was talks about it, and so, but because I looked into that. Yeah, I did. Of course, somebody tweeted something like within. The man was still in the locker room when that tweet came out, and I was just like, "Come on, bro, that had to have been already either way." Which it could still be very much in the works because there is a head coach opening at Seton Hall, Shaheen Holloway's alma mater, Seton Hall. I mean, it almost would make perfect sense, but let it marinate just a little bit. Let the man just let him at least take the bus ride from Philadelphia back to Jersey City.
The bus ride,
they tweeted that thing at 7:39. The game ended at 7:15. He couldn't have been on the phone in the locker. Come on, bro. But man, Shaheen Holloway, St. Peter's, it's one of those things where a lot of teams have made damage. One time, flash in the pan, Cinderella story, and we don't hear from them again. I hope that's not the case, but college basketball, there's so much that could go on. It's tough enough just for the mid-major conferences to win and get the automatic bid. It's tough enough just to win your conference. But to do what they did this year is nothing short of miraculous and wonderful. I love it. I love it. Stand up, Jersey City, New York, New Jersey, them boys. Hey, we the ones that make noise up in here. I mean, and I'm gonna go ahead and say this real quick. And for my hometown of North Myrtle Beach, all of y'all suckers that come from up north, come down south, you gotta tell us where you from. Yeah, hey, we don't care. It's just peace and tranquility down south. That's why people move to the south. Ain't nobody trying to. Only a couple people I know move up north. Ain't nobody trying to have all that gold. I said what I said. Eddy cool. Amtrak this thing. I done went off the rails.
yeah. And speaking of Shaheen Holloway, that would be like a perfect full circle story. And then Gonzaga, Mark Few. It's been 20 years. You got to figure something out, player. 20 years. You got close. Was it last year or the year before? You got real close several times. I don't know what's going on with Gonzaga. You got to figure something out. But I guess you got to have that Shaheen Holloway attitude. Scared. My guys are from New York and New Jersey. Scared of what and scared of who? Wow.
Here's the problem with it, unfortunately. You know, like you start really seeing what a team really is when it gets into conference play. You see, that's the one thing. Iron sharpens iron. Mm-hmm. That's why the ACC is what it is. Even though on a down year, you see where the cream rises to the top at the end of the day, because 2 teams from the ACC are in the Final Four. It could have easily been a third, but Lord Jesus, Kansas shit. They just said, Miami, y'all feeling yourselves a little bit. Kansas made that game ugly really quick. But Miami could have been in the Final Four as well. Could have been 3 teams from the ACC, but the ACC had a down year. Iron sharpens iron, and that happens every year. Mark Few and Gonzaga, they've been trying because they've been scheduling out of conference, huge games out of conference at the beginning of the season. But at the end of the day, the West Coast Conference is it's St. Mary's. And then can you name anybody else from the WCC?
Pepperdine.
San Francisco. I mean,
San Diego State, maybe.
Maybe. It's just it's just not
exactly
it's not the same type of competition. That no doubt.
So
Pacific. Where did Michael Olowokandi go to school at? Pacific.
Yeah.
Hey, but again, but you see, that's exactly my point. Is like Gonzaga at the end of the day, yes, St. Mary's they beat them one time this year, and boy, watch out now. But at the end of the day, Gonzaga doesn't face that stiff competition. They faced it at the beginning of the year. It sort of waddles in the middle and conference time. While other teams are getting stronger and figuring out themselves, Gonzaga's been beating teams by 20, 25 points, scoring. They lead they lead or they're very close to leading the entire NCAA in scoring because the competition that they face. Then when they hit madness, then they start facing teams that they haven't seen before. And then you start, we're not exactly who we thought we were. And then this is the result. I don't know what will it take for Gonzaga to get over the hump.
It's going to have to make a run and get hot, but it's not going to happen this year. Bring on the Final Four, baby. Bring it on.
Yep, bring on the Final Four. And guess what? Duke, North Carolina, that's not the only game in town. When we come back, we're going to bring on our special guests, and we're going to talk about the Kansas and Villanova game. Stay tuned. Coming at you next. Ladies and gentlemen, and everybody else, we told you that we had a surprise for you here. Of course, we talked about UNC Duke on the first part of our Final Four discussion. We're going to talk about the other part here, the other game, if you will, Kansas and Villanova. But we have a special guest joining us right now. He is the Senior Associate AD of Communications at Villanova University. Please welcome Dean Kenefick to the Sports Bros podcast. How you doing, Dean?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. I'm excited for the opportunity to chat with you guys a little bit.
Thanks, Dean. We greatly appreciate it. And also thanks to Scottie D for making this happen on such short notice. We know that you're a busy man and got a lot going on. So
yeah, once Scott called, I drop everything. Whatever he wants, I do.
Well, just so you guys know, Dean and I have known each other since we were in 6th grade, and he has been a fan of Villanova basketball since I've known him. So him working for Villanova would be like me working for the Cowboys. And not only that, this is the guy that came up with the nickname, the Money Man. This is the originator of my nickname right here. So that's the big life accomplishment he has right there is giving me my nickname.
There's 100% facts there. All facts.
Wow. And you've been trying to change your nickname the whole time. You're trying to become the main event. You're the Money Man, baby.
I'm adding on the Money Man, the main event. Yeah.
You'll be the Money Man. Now, look, I can only do Tom Brady with the 1,000 names. I can't do the Money Man, Scottie D, the main event. Prime attraction. I'm not doing all that. I'm not doing that. Okay. All right, Dean, while we have you here, I know that you're a busy man. We're going to ask you a few questions. So you've been at Villanova since 1995. That's pretty good. Can you explain to us what your role is as the Senior Associate AD in Communications at Villanova University?
Yeah, so basically my office oversees all the communications of the department, of the athletic department. So we handle, all press releases, set up all interviews with coaches, handle the website stats, run the game events from a statistical standpoint, from a communication standpoint, write the game notes, the media guides, game stories. And then we kind of have different responsibilities. So I oversee, there's 8 of us in the office. I have 7 people below me that work for me. And we do various, handle various sports. I oversee the office. I handle football, women's basketball, and I do men's basketball postseason as well.
All right, so this is at this is not at a community college. This is at a D1 university, Villanova University. For those that don't know where Villanova is located, could you tell everyone where it's located?
Yeah, we're about 15 miles west of Philadelphia. So we're in the suburbs of the Philadelphia. It's called the Main Line area. Outside of Philadelphia.
Okay, all right. B-Live, you got a questions for Dean?
And that is an incredible resume and everything. That just you can only imagine the amount of work that goes into this. And now I have to ask, with the rise of Villanova men's basketball, especially, and also the women's program, hats off to them. I was definitely watching both the men's and women's matchup, Villanova versus Michigan for both programs. So that had to be something
crazy,
exciting.
Right? Yeah,
and
weird
so
timing.
man, oh man. So how the past few years, especially with the rise, 2016, 2018 national champions, like how has that increased? How has your role increased during that time?
That's a really good question. It's just the attention that the program gets now is crazy. I mean, it's basically year round now. When I first got there, it was never like that. It was seasonal, like anything else. It was basketball season, and we'd turn whatever the next spring sports. And but now it's like almost 365 now. We get so much attention with all the accolades that Jay Wright has done and all the accomplishments. So it's become a year long thing. So Mike Sheridan from my office handles basketball on a day-to-day basis. So he's busy on a consistent basis with a lot of requests. And I think the biggest difference is more national attention. We've always had the local attention from the Philly media. I think it's more the national attention that's come to fruition now with everything that he's accomplished.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, you know, talking to Jay Wright, like we do a segment on a show every week, Dean, that we ask a question and we let our listeners and Facebook followers answer. And the question we asked last week was, now that Mike Krzyzewski is retiring, who do you think is the best college coach active in the game today? And B-Live and I both, before we knew we were having this conversation with you, we were saying it's got to be Jay Wright. He's the only active coach with multiple championships right now. I mean, what's he like? I mean, what's the secret to his success? Is it his recruiting? Is he just like such a great game manager? I mean, what's he like? I'm sure you must interact with him somewhat out there, right?
Yeah. I can answer one word was what sums up their success: culture. The culture he has built there is incredible. It's I know some people talk about culture, but they live it every day. And it's not like something that they say, they live it. Like it's a culture that he's built. And you hear like the Jay Billises of the world and the Gottliebs of the world this weekend, they use the same thing. The culture that he has with that program is incredible. They do the same thing. They're so consistent, everything they do, how they do it, how they handle their business. It's just what he's been able to do from that standpoint is amazing. How they play hard. I mean, two things that you can say about Villanova basketball under Jay: they're going to play extremely hard every game, and they're gonna defend. Now they might have a bad shooting night and all that, but those two things are consistent every game, and they're going to share the ball on offense. But if you see how hard they play and how detailed they are with everything they do, it's mind-boggling, to be honest with you.
Well, they're getting the accolades from them because that's the whole panel on CBS is saying basically in so many words, kind of what you're saying with the consistency, where they're not lauding them as being like a flashy kind of team, but just a team. I mean, you're the best free throw to shooting team in the country, like at a historic level. I mean,
yeah, if you watch the way they play, it's just they're so detailed, like the pump fakes, it's the spacing, it's the footwork. It's the little things that what separates, I think, them from the other teams. Like, everyone runs certain offenses, certain things. It's just the little things, I think, that separate them. And if you kind of look at how the roster every year, they get good players, obviously, but they're not getting the top 10, top 20 players year in, year out. They're not getting the one and done. It's just the culture and the guys and I think the way the upperclassmen teach the younger kids, that also plays a big part, because they kind of teach the guys the Villanova way, for lack of a better way of saying it, and then it kind of perpetuates itself through that. And but it is a detail. It's credible. I think you see it in the pros, because a lot of our guys have gone on to have some really nice pro careers. The Jalen Brunsons, the Bridges, the Dante DiVincenzo's, all those guys. Josh Hart. I think Jay does such a phenomenal job preparing those guys for the pros with all the, like I said, the footwork and the shot fakes and the spacing and just all the little things. The intangibles, I guess, is maybe the way to sum it up best.
Stuff that's a lost art a lot of times with the big programs. Yeah.
It's one of those things. Me having a basketball background, I've been since 6 years old, whenever I could first pick up a basketball. One thing, fundamentals, and I just love free throw shooting, a very, very much lost art. And that's one thing I enjoy watching, because so many games are lost at the free throw line. It's free. It is free.
Yeah.
Like, I remember the days of just practicing hours and hours on end, just free throws. And if you miss, you're running. So I love seeing the Villanova program. I love seeing what Jay Wright is doing there. It's phenomenal, that the program that he has. and just seeing it rise among, like, because this is truly a blue blood Final Four, and to have Villanova be mentioned as part of the Blue Bloods especially because of the recent success that your program has, is truly phenomenal. This is a college basketball enthusiast dream. Sorry, mid-major programs, but it's the big boys that came to play. So,
yeah, we did. He did. The free throw shooting is amazing. We're 37 games into the season. They're shooting 83% from the free throw line.
Wow.
Like it's. I think I'm pretty sure. As long as they don't have a bad weekend this weekend, they're going to set the NCAA record for the highest free throw percentage in a single season. But 83%, 37 games in is crazy.
That's phenomenal. And I the game against Houston the other day wasn't the prettiest of games, but when it got down towards the end, I'm watching with my dad, and I said, Villanova is close enough with like 2 minutes to go where they're going to have to start shooting free throws. Houston's going to have to foul these guys down 5. And if that's the case, it's going to be over. They're not catching them.
Yeah, I think we were 15 or 15 from the line that game, and I think they were like 8 of 17 or 8 of 15. That was a big difference.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. It was. Yeah, it was.
Yeah. All right. So, Dean, I'm kind of I don't know if I've already told you I graduated from the University of Arizona Global Campus, and I'm a journalism and mass communications major with a minor in communication studies. So communications is my thing, as you can see with, me and Brian and Scott and doing this whole Sports Post podcast and everything. What is an average day for you?
That, you know what? I get asked that question a lot. It's actually a really hard question for me to answer.
Just answer the best way you can.
Yeah, each day is different, which is why I like my job, because every day is a different deal. So, like today, for example, was crazy with all the Final Four stuff going on. So today was just kind of like it was like a fire drill all day, like this request. And like tomorrow, we have CBS coming in tomorrow, and ESPN coming in tomorrow for 6 hours to do like all this like background stuff on follow us behind the scenes and all this confidential stuff. So that's an abnormal day. A normal day, if we have no events, I get in around. I drop the kids off at school at 8. I'm in the office by like 8:30. And a lot of it's just prep work for whatever events we have coming on. But a normal game day, if we have a basketball game at 7, I usually get to the arena at 5. We set up everything up, get it ready to go. And then a lot of our work is done is after the game, though. It's just, the post-game press conference, and then writing the game stories and getting the stats updated, and sending off the game files to the NCAA and the conference office. A lot of the stuff takes place after the game with that. So it's kind of every day is different, but game days are long, but they're also probably the most fun days of the week as well.
You get to watch the games for free.
We do, and get a great seat, which is right there.
I've seen you on TV many times sitting courtside. You do it. You get the best seat in the house.
Yeah, we get the best. Big East tournament is my favorite weekend of the year. Because I sit literally. I'm half court on the floor, so it's me, MPC, and Speed, and then Gus Johnson and Fox. I'm right. That's my best weekend of the year is the Big East tournament. That's my favorite.
In the
as
garden.
Fun as the NCAA tournament.
In the garden.
Yep. Fun as the NCAA tournament is. Big East tournament, my favorite weekend of the year, no question.
Man, oh man, that is absolutely incredible. That's like a sports guy's dream, just especially when it comes to the sports that you love, and you get to do it on multiple aspects: football, basketball. Like I believe you've done work with the golf program, lacrosse program as well, and that's just being on multiple facets of all things sports. I'm gonna throw a little curveball. At you.
All right.
I want to know how it felt 2001, if I believe, with Brian Westbrook winning the Walter Payton Award. What was your impact on that? What was your role in that?
I wish you had told me you're going to ask me that question. I'd have brought a little prop to show you what we did. So Brian Westbrook was a phenomenal story. Obviously a phenomenal player, and we're still really good friends to this day. He's a great guy. But he was considered the third best running back in his recruiting class at Villanova. Third best. And then first couple weeks of camp, we're like, no, man, who is this dude? Like, he just jumped off the page out. Who is this guy? And so his junior year, he lost the Walter Payton Award by 15 votes, 20 votes to a guy named Adrian Peterson, who ended up not the Adrian Peterson that played for a million teams, but Adrian Peterson played for Georgia. I think it was Georgia Southern.
Yeah,
he played
Georgia
for
Southern.
the Bears. So he lost to him, and we thought Brian should have won. So next year, this is before like technology and all the stuff that goes on today, no social media. So we kind of did this thing called Wild Wild Westbrook. We dressed him up as a cowboy, and this on this like promotional thing we did, and we had fun with it. We had like the director, the head coach, the producer, the offensive coordinator, and we dressed him up in this. He was a good sport about it, and it was this flyer. It was a flyer about 8x10 color flyer. And I was able to get a hold of every mailing address of every voter in the country. And we mailed those things out every Monday. We kept the back blank, and we type in like what he did that week and then the season stats. So every week we mailed those out to 140 people, these Wild Westbrook things. And I don't know if it helped or not, but he won. And so fast forward, he goes to the Eagles, and I don't know how some of his teammates got a hold of that that flyer. Oh, they killed him for it. So they started calling him, we had him in cowboy boots, we had him in a hat, everything. So they started calling him Little Boots. So all of his Eagles teammates called him Little Boots because of the flyer that we did. So it's and I just had my neighbor, actually, it's funny you bring it up, because a couple weeks ago he asked me, he saw it somewhere, and his buddy's getting married, and Westbrook was his favorite Eagle. So he asked me to get a copy of it, to get it autographed. And Brian was a great sport. He did it and autographed it and everything. So he was a great player. He's also, little known story, phenomenal basketball player. He wasn't going to play Division I basketball, and he ended up playing football, which was the right choice. But he played at DeMatha High School in Baltimore, outside of DC, which is a great program.
Yeah.
And I think to this day he has the highest field goal percentage in DeMatha history.
Wow.
Oh wow.
We got lucky.
And he's still there. He's still in the area.
He lives in Brooklyn. Married with 3 kids in Brooklyn, and we got lucky because he broke his hip in a dunking contest his end of his junior year. So he missed most of his senior year of football. So it wasn't a lot of film. He's being recruited by all the big boys until he got hurt. And it basically came down to Villanova, William Mary, and Richmond. Those are the 3 schools that came down to. And our running back coach saw him play basketball. So I love this kid. That's how he ended up at Villanova. And that running back coach is now head coach at Temple.
That is awesome. I'm just going to throw this out here. Hey, JR Speaks. This is to you. I did this for you, sir. He's a diehard Philadelphia Eagle fan, and so I know you're a big fan of Brian Westbrook. And I was just doing a little research. I happened to see that. It's a phenomenal story. And that is incredible.
He's the best. Brian is such a good guy, and very supportive of Villanova. And like I say, he's still a great friend today. I can't say enough good things about him. It's great.
Perfect.
So with all those good moments, what ranks? Does anything rank higher than the Chris Jenkins shot? That was in Houston against Carolina.
For me,
correct?
or for Villanova?
For you.
For me, or
you personally. For you personally. Because you were sitting courtside for that one, correct?
I was, and actually, you know who sat right behind me?
Beli's a bit of a Tar Heel back. He's a Clemson guy, but he always kind of like them. But who was sitting behind you?
Behind me. Your guy was right behind me. He actually borrowed a pen from me during the game. Your guy, Tony Romo. He sat literally right behind me. Right behind me.
You had a seat in front of Tony Romo.
I was in front of Tony Romo and Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was to my left, 3 rows back. So I was in front of both of them. But that was just pure luck. That's where the administration seats. That's where our administration seats are. Kind of before the regular seats. That was the ultimate. I mean, to win the national championship in that fashion was, and people will remember Chris Jenkins' shot. They don't remember the crazy shot that North Carolina hit to send it to overtime. That guy, if he takes it 10 times, he makes it once, and he made that one shot. And but to win the national championship like that, that's kind of the ultimate right there, right?
Oh yeah, I was going crazy for you watching the game. I'm not even a Villanova fan, and I was going crazy for you in South Carolina. And obviously, a lot less drama 2 years later against Michigan. That was
right.
They handily defeated Michigan.
Yeah, we talked about that. Like 16 was hard because we had to really work through that tournament. If you remember correctly, we had some close calls. We had to beat.
Yeah, but didn't they kill Oklahoma like an incredible Final Four game?
Yeah, but in the Elite Eight, we had a close game with Kansas down in Louisville, close game. And then we played Oklahoma, who beat us by 20 early in the year. And honestly, I knew we were gonna win that game. Our guys are ready for that one. We blew them out. But like I think it was the biggest win in history of the Final Four. I think maybe about 40.
It was. I think it was crazy. That was Buddy Hield's team or Buddy Hield's on that
team? It was.
Oklahoma,
yeah. And then Carolina was obviously a great game, but then 18 was a better city for the Final Four. San Antonio was a much better city than Houston for the Final Four. So the city was better, but we just ran through. We had one tough game at whole tournament. And it was in Boston. West Virginia gave us everything we wanted in the Sweet 16 game. Really close game that we pulled away late. But both games in the Final Four, we destroyed Kansas and beat Michigan bad.
So how does this year's team rank? We got a shot of beating Kansas on Saturday. I mean, I know that Villanova's thing right now, it seems to be obviously free throws and defense.
Yeah.
Can they score enough to beat Kansas? Because Kansas got this Abaji, is that how you say his name? This kid's an All-American. He looked really, really good in this tournament.
Yeah, that's the magic question. Can we score enough? Because we are, I don't know if you followed it closely, but we lost one of our best players on Sunday. Tore his Achilles, and he's a huge loss. I mean, he's a very good player. He's a second leading scorer. He's also he defends the other team's best players. So, and what didn't get any attention was 2 days before the NCAA tournament started, we lost this kid, freshman kid, Jordan Longino. If you look at his numbers, you're like, oh, okay, that's not a big loss. But he had really started playing really well. He's like a 6'4", 6'5" athletic kid. He gave us another perimeter player. So now we're down 2 perimeter players. So I don't know the question is, can we score enough? I know they're going to try. I know they're going to play hard, and Coach Wright's going to have a good game plan. So I think the question is, can we score enough with those guys out? Because we don't have much of a bench, much room for error with those guys out. But I think they're going to give it a try. I tell you that. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, I mean, hey, one thing I'll say that. And we kind of were making fun of Gonzaga a little bit ago, is not being battle tested. And I mean, Villanova this year, you got UCLA right out of the gate. You had 2 games with UConn, Purdue, Baylor. Even losing those games, those toughen you up and get you ready for this time of year. I mean, not every one of those games were wins, but again, when you're playing that kind of competition, that has to have you prepared for the situation.
Really good point. And I think Coach Wright's talked about it a couple of times this year. He thought he actually overscheduled, to be honest with you. He thought he played too many tough teams and put our guys in some tough spots. If you remember, Baylor destroyed us in a game. I don't know if we scored 40 points. But I mean, and I remember he just talked about it last week at the NCAA tournament in the media session. He thought at that point we were really tired because we had gone through the gauntlet of playing all those teams. He thought we just were tired, but he thought playing those teams did eventually pay off for us in the conference season and then in the postseason, because like you said, we played them all. We played Baylor's defense. We played what do you call it? Syracuse with their zone. Played Purdue with their height.
In the Garden.
Played Purdue at their heights. We played a lot of different teams with a lot of different styles. So I think it did help us, and it did definitely make us test it. There's no question about
it. I definitely see this game as more like the indestructible force, immovable object.
Yeah.
Because 2
Something's
contrasting styles. Kansas loves to speed up the pace, and I think that's where Miami went wrong. They were trying to keep up with Kansas. No, you need to slow Kansas down. Correct. And Villanova they have that program. They like to slow the ball down, half court offense. I think it's going to be a very interesting watch. I did see that. I did see that injury, and that I was like, "Ooh, that." Me and Scott both said it. But
I saw,
and I heard about that Longino kid too. I knew he was playing well too. I was reading about him.
He was playing. It just felt bad for Justin Moore. So bad for the kid. He worked out hard. He's had a great career up to this point. Had a chance to go to the Final Four.
Is he a senior, Dean?
He's a junior. But you tear your Achilles 50 seconds to go in the game. Like that's just brutal.
Yeah, these chances aren't guaranteed to come every single year for sure.
Exactly.
Hey, so but before we let you go, just you mentioned to me personally earlier, you're going to New Orleans on Wednesday, correct?
Correct.
So what happens from like Wednesday until Saturday? What do you do to prepare? How's the team get ready for that? I mean, is there any time for fun? I mean, I know New Orleans it's a fun place. I've never been there, but that's what I hear. But I mean, what take us through what that's going to be like for the next couple of days?
Yeah. So I'll go down Wednesday night on the team charter. I'll go down Wednesday, and then Thursday is the first day of. I mean, the media scrutiny and the media availability is nothing like it. We went in 2009, and then went again in 2016. In that 7 years, it changed so drastically. So Thursday, the team will have a closed practice at the Superdome, and then from 11:30 to 3:30 is all media obligations. So that's when they do.
Wow. That's a long day.
When you turn the game on, you see like the shots with like the fire going on and the dance shots and all the glamour shots. They do all that on Thursday. It's like 4 hours of it. That's crazy. And then Friday will be media availability again, practice, and then we'll play on Saturday. The team will kind of be in the hotel, but I think us staff members will have some fun. We'll hit Bourbon Street and check out get some good meals in the French Quarter.
I hear you, buddy. Well, I'm rooting for you guys. I'm happy for you. Congratulations on all the success you've had. 3 Final Fours in the last 6 seasons. I mean, that's incredible. Jay Wright's that's our guy now. He's our new new model coach
K,
out there. Yeah,
that's our new guy now.
You guys got to come on a road trip next year. Trips on the tickets, everything on me. Come to a game.
We road tripping. Are we road tripping?
Done.
Be there. We will be there.
When the schedule comes out, courtside seats. I'll take care of parking. All I gotta do is get there and get a hotel, and I'll take care of everything else. It's on me.
You're our favorite guest we ever had.
Yes, sir.
I know we have UCLA coming to our place next year, so I don't know if that date works, but we'll play some good teams. So you guys come on up.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for that.
Yes, well, and thank you, Dean Kenefick, for joining us here on the Sports Bros podcast. He is the Senior Associate AD of Communications at Villanova University. Good luck to you and the Wildcats in a few days. Thank you very much, Dean. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys, for having me. I enjoyed it. I love to come on anytime.
All right, buddy. Thank you very much.
One more time,
Absolutely.
that's Dean. One more time, that's Dean Kenefick joining us here on the Sports Bros podcast. Thank you, Dean.
See you guys.
All right, once again, thanks to Dean Kenefick for joining us here on the Sports Bros podcast. But fellas, I don't know about y'all, but according to my watch, it's about that time.
What time is it? What's happening? What's going on?
Who? What time is it? Oh, I'm glad you asked. It is time once again for our favorite portion of the Sports Bros podcast. It is the choices of the voices. And with that being said, hey, yo, button, hit it. Ding! Choices of the voices.
And now, our favorite part of the show, the choices of the voices.
Once again, thank you to the wonderful and ever so lovely Miss Button for introducing our favorite portion of the show. You heard the woman. We've been doing this thing 149, 150 plus times. It is another version of our favorite portion of the show, the choices of the voices. And Scottie D, what's on tap for this week's choices of the voices?
All right. Well, he's still going strong. Talk about Coach K. He made it through yet another weekend. He's maxing out, going as far as he can. We talked about this a little bit already earlier with Dean, but we talked about now that Coach K is going to be stepping aside. He's going from the universally recognized best coach in the game to retirement, leaving who as the best college basketball coach active in the game today. And well, B-Live and I kind of did our spoilers already, but let's see what else we got here, Eddie. Cool. What are the people saying?
All right, so here we go. We got Tom Winner Chicken Dinner. He said, look at Mark Few's winning percentage and consistently great seasons over a 20-year span. Few can match that. But
a little pun there, but again, they can't break through. Didn't Gonzaga make it to the finals in 2017 and lose to North Carolina? Wasn't that the year that South Carolina was in the Final Four as well?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think
Gonzaga made the finals last year.
They did. They lost to Baylor last year, and we thought last year was going to be it for them. We thought that was their year. So that's twice they made it to the finals.
Yeah, I picked Baylor. I saw them. I saw that guard play from Baylor. I picked that all day. Run.
Throughout the course of that season last year, it looked like Gonzaga's year. Baylor kind of came out of nowhere. because they had the Big 12 was good. Did you guys know that the Big 12 now has been in the Final four straight years? I think that's like the longest streak.
Yep.
Isn't that crazy? Years. 4 straight years that the Big 12 is represented in the Final Four. Yep. But Gonzaga again can't quite break through. That's not saying Mark Few's not a great coach. He absolutely is. It's just his conference is just not as testing as what we said before. ACC, SEC, Big 12, Big 10. Yeah. Yep. Who else we got there? What else we see?
Yeah, you're right, Scottie D. You got to have a 1A and a 1B and everybody else. All right. James Maloney, he said Izzo, and then he said Few. So I think he chose 2.
Well, I've always felt that Tom Izzo was maybe upper echelon, but again, he hasn't had a national championship since, what was it, like 2000?
Yeah.
And I think we talked about this with Dean too. He said Jay Wright had mentioned he thought maybe he had overscheduled a little bit this year with we listed some of the more difficult teams they played on their schedule out of conference. And I always thought that happened with Michigan State. You look at them every year, they start with like Duke, Kentucky, Kansas right out of the gate. Almost every year they play one of those teams. They always play a difficult schedule. I think sometimes that works against them a little bit and it gives them a lower seed in the tournament. But nonetheless, I think Izzo is phenomenal. I've always been a big Tom Izzo fan.
Yeah, I like him too.
Izzo's been to the Final Four 8 times.
Has it been that many? Really? Uh-huh. Oh, I didn't realize. I knew he'd been there a few. Okay, well, that he's a good answer as anybody. I would say.
Oh,
he's fantastic, and he's recruiting to a harder part of the country to recruit to. I mean, it's not warm up there like it is in the Carolinas. Coach K, Roy Williams, guys always had a little bit of warmth to recruit with down in the South. But getting a kid to come from out of town to it's cold in Michigan. It's cold up there. That's a challenge into itself.
Hey, if it's cold here in Cleveland, it is definitely cold in East Lansing. Trust me.
Yeah.
Hey, they get the mess a lot of times before we get the mess. It's just a prelude for the interlude. All right, so here we go. Matty Ice Martin Tracy said it's John Calipari hands down. He said he put UMass on must-watch TV while he was coaching there. He did, because I remember Lou Rowe, Marcus Camby, a few other guys there. Then a few years later, he pops up in Memphis, and if not for 5 free throws missed by Derrick Rose with seconds left, they should have beat Kansas. Who got Chambers lucky? Who got Chambers lucky for the title? I don't know, but then you put him in charge of a blue blood, and it's almost isn't fair. I understand that, yeah. He's so good, he's got to do it with different teams every 1 to 2 years because his recruits keep going pro. He makes millionaires everywhere he goes and wins. All his teams are innovative and dribble drive motion offense. Imagine if his players stuck around for more than 1 or 2 years to master his system. Great eye for talent. You can say what you want to about John Calipari, but the man knows how to find talent. I can't deny that. You can't deny it. You can think he's a scumbag, you think he stinks. The man knows how to find talent.
I think that's a good point too that Matty Ice brings up. If all of his players, all these guys that left after 1 or 2, if anyone would stay for a considerable amount of time, they would have won more championships. No, you can't tell me that like Anthony Davis as a junior or senior wouldn't have had a chance at a title. Multiple guys in Kentucky's program.
That was again. I mean, that's sort of his own doing or undoing per se. Like that's the talent he was going for. And once again, there's certain levels and echelons when it comes to what your role is. He's essentially put himself as a position where he can take guys that don't want to go the collegiate route, but they have to. And he's got a program that welcomes those players in and gives them basically a stepping stool to get to the professional level.
True.
So he has elevated a lot of players that we may or may not have ever heard of outside of their talent and everything. And he's also molding them. It's not necessarily where I can sit here in the back side and say, like, man, this one and done is bad for the player and this, that. They need to get their whole education and stuff like that. I've calmed down a little bit. I used to be that guy. I sort of still am because I really still don't like him. But I said what I said. At the end of the day, you do have to appreciate what he has done. He's made an impact in a lot of young players' lives. And then I'm pretty sure and he continues to communicate with them all throughout their NBA career. So
he
will
encourages
say,
them to go too. Yeah, he doesn't try to hold anybody back. If he thinks they're ready, he'll tell them, "Don't stick around here. Go make some money."
And then a little side note that you may or may not have known. You know, I like the research stuff. I really don't like the research. It's just happened to pop up on Wikipedia. John Calipari was a point guard for UNCW back in 1978 to 1980.
Wow.
Just a little something that you may have never thought of. He played and went to UNCW, and he played as a point guard there. Who would have thought?
And he also spent time in the Pittsburgh area. And another guy that as I'll get to it a little bit later, it has not been the head coach at Pitt. Anyway, next.
He was an assistant at Pittsburgh from 85 to 88.
Yeah.
An assistant. All right. Friend to the show.
Didn't get promoted.
No, but
went to UMass instead.
But we gonna put you right here, and that's about it, right? All right, friend to the show, JR says Penny Hardaway.
And little early. He might
have put that answer before the allegations and NCAA violations came across, because Penny, you got so much explaining to do.
Yeah.
Is he in trouble?
Yeah, there's some level 1 and level 2 violations going on right now.
Chicanery.
Yeah, I'm seeing it now from a couple of days. Yeah, I missed that over the weekend somehow. Daggone it. But I felt like they were trending in the right way too. I think Penny's still green as a coach, but it seemed like he's starting to get players and they're buying in. I mean, they had who beat them? Wasn't it Gonzaga beat them? Maybe. I think that's who eliminated them. Mm-hmm. But
that sounds right. Gonzaga.
Yeah, I think that in round 2 that Gonzaga knocked them out. But they seem like they're making strides. I don't want violations. Come on. Next.
But I mean, I think it's something that he can overcome. I think one of them is still stemming from James Wiseman, whole situation.
James Wiseman, yeah.
I think that some of that's still stemming from that. But I think they'll be able to. Hopefully, he'll be able to overcome it. And Penny Hardaway, like JR alluded to, he's got some things. He's doing some good things at Memphis. I hope they can overcome this and continue to grow. So we'll see. Rick Pitino has 75 violations, and he's still
he still got a damn job. Now
Iona.
Now listen. You want to talk about people coming back? That bleep came back too. Come on now. If he can come back, the Penny Hardaway can for sure come back. All right. Rounding out the top 5 bunch, we got Tanner Port. What's up, Tanner? And Tanner said Tom Izzo.
Again, nice. We can't argue if you think that he's one of the top coaches.
And
he's one of mine.
Quick background, my man Tanner. He is a diehard, and when I say diehard, I really, really mean diehard Duke fan. Diehard Duke fan. So
big weekend for Tanner. Big weekend.
So yeah, he's he's gone to multiple games at Cameron Indoor. He lives here in Fayetteville now, but him and his wife Heather, 2 very good friends of mine. I do appreciate the love and support. But yeah, they are definitely diehard Duke fans, and I'm gonna be rooting for North Carolina because that's how I go. Just to let everybody know, we had 2 choices in life, being from the small area of North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, growing up. In football, it was Clemson or them Game Chickens.
In basketball, Gamecocks.
In basketball, it was Duke or UNC. Clemson, North South Carolina had storied basketball programs growing up. Duke and North Carolina were right up the road. It's the Carolinas, baby. Y'all know what time it is. So I grew up a North Carolina basketball fan. Hey, hats off to the South Carolina Gamecocks women's basketball program. They have a thing going. And just a little, another little caveat. Dawn Staley just signed an extension to her contract, making her the richest college basketball coach, having getting paid the most, surpassing Gino Ariema.
Wow.
Don Staley.
Gamecock spending money.
Yeah.
Spend that money, bring them chips with the dip.
So definitely want to give a shout out to Don Staley with that accomplishment. She's done a lot of big things for the women's basketball program, not just for South Carolina, but as a whole. Mm-hmm. And so one thing I did notice, there was a story about her where when they won the championship, she actually sent out pieces of the net to like other like small one of the coaches was actually Howard and other HBCUs, and she's got like almost like a network of coaches that she encourages and everything, and trying to build up them smaller schools and stuff like that. So Don Staley has done a lot for the culture and for the sport. So hats off to her. Well deserved. God, that hurts. God, that hurts saying that with the Clemson shirt on. All right, I'm good. I'm all right. I made it. All right, cool. Yes, sir.
I'm just over here like, oh, bask in this glory. Yes. I will take it any way I can get it, because I've been giving credit to Clemson for God knows how long. Be like, I appreciate it. Very much. All right, Phil. So with that being said, everybody else told us their coaches. What say y'all?
I mean,
well, without going much further until we kind of already we're on board with Jay Wright. We're going with Jay. I'm rooting for him this weekend. I hope they win it all. I hope they do.
Yeah. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna throw this out here because you can't go wrong with any of the coaches that are in the Final Four right now. You can't go wrong with any one of them. Only thing about Hubert Davis is that he just hasn't built his legacy yet. But this is a very, very
good
strong start.
Yeah.
Very good start to his legacy. So, but yeah, nobody mentioned Bill Self.
Yeah, Bill Self is always in the mix too. But again, he's another one like Izzo. He actually has one ring. But I wonder, do you happen to have in front of you, Be Live, how many times he's been to the Final Four with Kansas? Because this Kansas train's been rolling along from Larry Brown into Roy Williams, and Self has been at the wheel now for a long time. I mean, he's got to be one of the winningest basketball coaches ever. He's got to be up there by now.
Yeah, he has.
He's in the four.
Mm-hmm.
Four Final Fours?
Four Final Fours.
Okay.
He's got one championship in 2008. Mm-hmm. He's been with Kansas since 2003. So this is, I believe, this will be his 19th year, and so he's definitely up there. But the Kansas blue blood is one of those things where you to keep that program, to keep it going like it does. Hey, hats off to him as well. But yeah, my answer is definitely Jay Wright, without question. Just like day and night. You heard a bunch of it in our previous segment, which is phenomenal, by the way. I'm still like on cloud 9 from talking. Oh my goodness, that was awesome talking with Dean, and definitely want to give props to Jay Wright and the Villanova program. I'm still rooting for North Carolina. I said what I said. But
Eddie, you got a different answer from us?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to say Tom Izzo, man. I don't know what it is about Tom to the Izzo. I mean, he's churned out talent. Think about it, from Morris Peterson to Mateen Cleaves, right up to Draymond Green and everything in between. I mean, it's just, even though he has that one national championship to his credit, I mean, championships are nice, but to be in one place for a long time, as he's been there since 1995. Yeah, so he's been there for quite some time. For him to just...
And he was an assistant from 83 to 95. So he's actually been to Michigan State since 1983 and became the head coach in 95. But he's been there for, wow. I was born in 82. He's been there the entire time. I've been alive.
Yeah. He been there ever. Like Bertie Mac said, it's a long time. We take the 4 off of it.
Right.
Ever. Yeah, he been there ever. He just been there forever, man. And it's just, he has his good years. He has his bad years. But whenever you go to East Lansing, get ready for a fight. Yeah. Even though he had that controversy a while back about him getting into the players' faces. Hey, look, man, it's called tough love.
Yeah.
Tom Izzo loved them boys. Tom Izzo, matter of fact, and I keep thinking about too, Hubert Davis, his post-game interview. He's crying, kind of looking like the stoic dad, like, oh, I'm just happy to be here. And the guy and the kids are in the background, just like, I mean, it damn near, I almost got in my feels. And I'm like,
yeah,
those kids have bought in 100%. He crying tears of joy. They looking like, they're young men, but I see the childlike enthusiasm in North Carolina. I see the childlike enthusiasm. They jumping up and down and da. He's standing there being a daddy, trying to hold it together, like, who cut names? Anyways.
There was a moment in that interview where he was trying to tell the reporter, no, talk to them.
Talk to them.
Talk to them.
Yeah, he said talk to them.
This ain't about me.
This ain't about me.
And she over here with the mic, with the kid.
She don't want to cooperate. I heard him say in an interview today also that he's excited for the kids to get to the hotel, to see their pictures hanging in the rafters, to go through all these things that he got to go through as a player. So, I've never been a North Carolina fan, but I kind of like this guy as a next coming coach. Who knows? Like you said, B-Lab, he's off to a heck of a start. Years from now, he could be in the elite conversation.
Yep.
And nobody mentioned Boeheim, another one of my old favorites.
Yes.
I think I've done a rant before on Boeheim, but the guy, again, talking about recruiting to a cold part of the country and getting players. He's another one that's put out some pretty good players.
Yeah, Jim Boeheim is pretty good when his kid ain't beating up people, but I digress. No, but yeah, Jim Boeheim, that's another guy that you cannot discount either. He was just like, my favorite memory of him is that meme where he's a Duke pitching a whole hissy fit. And he's another coach. Like one thing we say about these coaches, when you can tell the coaching and the culture is superb, when the kids buy into the philosophy and they play and they just play, and it's all about a team mentality. We see it with Villanova, we see it with North Carolina, we see it with teams like Michigan State. I mean, hell, we even saw it with St. Peter's, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
we see with St. Peter's, a good coaching. One of the key to good coaching is getting your team to buy into the culture. You hear that, future coaches out there? I know my forehead shining, but that's neither here nor there. Be live, self-inflicted. I did it. You coaches, future coaches, want to be coaches, soon to be coaches. Get your program where the kids buy into it, and then you'll see. You'll see more moments like with Hubert Davis and the kids and the churn back there in the background. All right, that does it for another edition of Choices of the Voices. Scottie D, what's on to the tap for next week?
Okay, some of you are not going to like this question.
Uh-oh.
That's okay. This was actually a suggestion from our friend Hunter Simboli, who we may be talking to next week, right, Eddie? We're going to try to get him on for a little baseball talk next week. Okay, anyway.
He's connected to the organization. Oh, yeah.
He's connected.
The Guardians Weekly podcast coming soon. Matter of fact, 4/11. Yes, 4/11 coming soon.
So we talked to him a couple weeks ago, and this was a suggestion, and I'm going to go with it because it's WrestleMania week.
Ooh. Give
us your favorite WrestleMania moment or match from years past. And I know some of you guys aren't wrestling fans. This will be our last wrestling question for a while, but we like wrestling, and it is WrestleMania weekend. So we're going to do one more wrestling one, and we'll get off that for a while. But anyway, favorite WrestleMania match or moment, and I'll give us something to talk about next week. Cool.
Oh, I can hear Matty Ice and Tom.
I don't give up. We do what we want on the show. We like wrestling. I said what I said. And so just know you don't have to answer. Don't have to be a voice this week. It's okay. Hey, we'll see you next week.
And if you ain't down with that,
we got 2 words for you.
Bye-bye. Got to keep it PG, fellas. Well, hell yeah, son. I'm listening to the Sports Post podcast. They're supposed to come to Texas. Well, hell yeah, son. Hey, come back next week. Favorite WrestleMania moments right here on the Sports Post podcast.
Okay, boys, let's bring it home with a round of pepper.
All right, you know what time it is. It's time for us to go home and get what I call the hell up out of here. But before we go, we're going to do a round of pepper. That's right. You know how we do it. 3 topics, rapid fire style, kind of, sort of, not really. Here to engage, enlighten, and entertain. In a typical Eddy Cool fashion, on this day in history, I'll go first. All right. On this day in history, back in 1999, the 61st NCAA Men's National Basketball Championship, Connecticut beats Duke 77-74, and this gives the UConn Huskies their first title in their first title game appearance. Richard Hamilton, remember Richard Hamilton, who spent most of his career in a face mask
Yeah.
for the UConn Huskies. He was named the most outstanding player, and he had a whopping 145 total points in the tournament. So, shout out to the Huskies. Over to you, Scottie D.
All right, just a quick note here about golf, and that was Scottie Scheffler defeated Kevin Kisner on Sunday to win the match play tournament. That is now 3 wins and 5 starts for Scottie Scheffler this year. He is the new number 1 player in the world, replacing Jon Rahm. Scottie Scheffler, numero uno in the PGA, new number 1. Just wanted to enlighten you there, fellas. Be live, over to you.
Go, Scottie.
Very nice, very nice. Well, you got to love the nostalgia of baseball. And one of the biggest stories that's going on right now is that Albert Pujols is coming back home.
That's official?
That is official. He is a St. Louis Cardinal, reaching a 1-year deal, I believe. Let me pull this up, valued at $2.5 million. And so essentially this is a feel-good story for him to retire, pretty much, where he started his illustrious career. Now, here's one thing I want to happen, though, because is it possible for him to crank out 21 home runs? Because if he can, that will get him to the big 700 home runs. So I will officially be on Albert Pujols' watch for the duration of the season to see if he can get to 700. First ballot Hall of Famer.
I hope he does. I don't think he has it.
42 years old. I mean, maybe
gotta stay healthy.
Avocado ice cream. Talk to Tom Edward Fitzpatrick, Aloysius, Order of Canada, Brady III. Get on the call. Help. How did I do it? How do you do it, bro? Eddy Cool. Bing. The ball.
All right, with that being said, yesterday the WWE announced the Steiner brothers. Well, a little quick disclaimer. If you're Tom Wynn and Matty Ice, just go ahead and turn the podcast off right now, because we're going to talk about your least favorite sport, professional wrestling. As I just mentioned, the Steiner brothers will be inductees into the 2022 WWE Hall of Fame. All right. Now, if you've been watching wrestling for a very long time, like I have, you know, Rick and Scott Steiner, they're the boys from Michigan, the actual real life brothers. They wrestled all over the place, from New Japan Pro Wrestling to, they had a little small run in Impact, WCW, and NWA back in the days, are multi-time tag team champions. And if you ask me, the Steiner brothers are the best tag team of all time.
Holla if you hear me.
Yeah, he's got you hook up. Holler if you hear me. Just don't ask Scott Steiner doing the math. But you know what I think this, and I think this kind of capped off because I guess Scott Steiner had to agree on it. Does this mean that Bron Breakker will be Rex Steiner? We shall see. Shout out to the Steiner brothers. Over to you, Scottie D.
All right, here's another one in the combat world, and a good guy that I think is a pretty good guy. And this is Kevin Holland, UFC fighter who you guys may have known him. He's a young African-American guy who during the pandemic had some fights in the Vegas setting where there's no fans, and you can hear him talk. He talks the whole time he fights. He talks to his opponent. He talks to Daniel Cormier. He talks to Dana White while the fight's going on. Wildly entertaining guy. Ran into a couple rough fights and then went back to welterweight, and he just beat a very seasoned veteran not too long ago, Alex Oliveira, in his last fight, just maybe 3 weeks ago. Anyway, back in October, Kevin Holland witnessed somebody running after a car, and someone had gotten carjacked, and he helped pursue the carjacker. This car wrecked. They tried to get going again. He helped subdue this person until the cops arrived. Good deed for Kevin Holland. Again, I think he's a good guy. Kevin Holland, again, ran into a situation just mere weeks ago. He was at a sushi bar in Houston, him and a friend. He said he's having a couple adult beverages, and he heard there's a birthday celebration going on behind me. He heard a pop, pop, pop that he thought was maybe champagne or some craziness going, but it actually was a gunman. A guy pulled a gun, and he was shooting at the ceiling. And Kevin Holland turned his attention, him and his friend turned their attention and saw two men scuffling on the floor. And he said, I picked up a chair, but I didn't know who to hit. I couldn't tell who had the gun. So eventually he helped wrestle the gun away from the guy and then slapped him in a rear naked choke and tapped him out until the cops arrived. Kevin Holland, two big incidents in the last 6 months. To quote an old wrestling favorite, there's one more for the good guy. Be Live, over to you.
I like it. All right, let me go ahead and break out the pepper grinder because I'm going to try to fit in a lot of information in 60 seconds because...
Yeah, good luck.
All right, and go. This past week in the NBA, the Brooklyn Nets, they now have Kyrie Irving back at home. Ta-da! He's back playing in Brooklyn. And guess what they do the first game? They lose to Charlotte and now sit at the number 9 seed. And, hey, look at it this way. They've got 5 of their last 7 games at home, and the 6th game, one of their away games, is actually in Madison Square Garden. So, thank you, Mayor Adams. But can they actually make a run? Are they still favored to do anything? I don't think so. They need some more depth, but that is neither here nor there. The Los Angeles Lakers, what are you doing? You had a 23-point lead against the New Orleans Pelicans, and then they lose. And now they sit at the number 10 seed, 1 game ahead of the San Antonio Spurs. They could be out of the playoffs. On top of that, LeBron James sprains his ankle, doubtful for his next game. And the Lakers also have the toughest schedule. I'm leaving out for the rest of the season. The Lakers are probably going to be sitting outside of the playoffs. The AARPers, the old fellas, what are you doing? What type of who put this team together? Hell, while you were sleeping, the Boston Celtics, red hot, and now sit tied with Miami in the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. Where I've been sleeping on Boston. Absolutely been sleeping on them. On the other side in the Western Conference, guess who's back? Chris Paul is back. And the Suns stay red hot. They keep doing what they're doing. The Suns have already clinched the number 1 seed in all of basketball. Gotta love it. And then on top of that, Dallas beats out Utah this past weekend. And a preview of a number 4 versus number 5 seed, Dallas versus Utah. NBA, I throw it out there. Eddie Cool, the ball.
All right, no ball. Oh, wow, that was fast. I almost hit me in the damn head with it. I wasn't paying attention, all right? And speaking of basketball, if you've been paying attention, during the winter, I've been on WOBL radio up here in good old Lorain, Ohio, and I have been a part of the color commentary team, along with Dave Rivera. And guess what? Me and Dave Rivera said, you know what? Let's get together and let's do a end-of-season podcast for Lorain County Hoops, all right? Dave and I will just pretty much be going through our very own end of season awards for all 17 teams in the Lorain County area. All right. And we will also discuss players from Lorain County that made the all conference teams, the first and second versions from the Southwestern Conference, the Great Lakes Conference, the Lorain County 8 Conference, the Sandusky Bay Conference, and the Lake Erie League Conference as well, too. That podcast is going to be dropping Friday, so stay tuned. Edwin Vereen, me, also known as Eddie Cool, and Dave Rivera giving you a season wrap-up. So it's going to be very entertaining, so stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for that. Scottie D, you got one more pepper point to get us up out of here?
I do. So Heather Likey is the athletic director at Pitt, my favorite local university. She just extended Pat Narduzzi to 2030. Not sure why. Not like he's winning national championships over here. 2030, she extended him. In the meantime, we got Jeff Capel, another, coach from the Coach K tree, losing guys to the transfer portal. In the meantime, local hero Sean Miller is available, and he signed with Xavier, and his brother signed with Rhode Island. And we have Capel losing people. Heather, do better. Do better. Be Live, over to you.
Nobody cares about the fighting.
We could have had Sean Miller.
Ain't nobody care about that. Yes, y'all beat us
Home
to
run.
football, whatever.
Sean Miller.
With that being said, yeah, hey, calm your nerves. Anyway, third and final Pepper One. You know how I like to do things with the most ridiculous things I see in sports. For those who have not been paying attention, most likely Scottie D because he doesn't like the sport. The world of soccer, football, the world's most popular sport, and there goes Scottie D. USA beats Panama 5-1, and now sit in a very good place to qualify for the World Cup. But they haven't qualified yet and still found a way to bring a banner out of the field saying they've already qualified. No, you have not. Yes, it's going to take something cataclysmic for y'all to not qualify, i.e. Costa Rica beating the U.S. and beating them by 6 goals, because that will take the tiebreaker and the goal differential in Costa Rica's hand. But no, you haven't qualified yet. Where'd you get the banner from? I know you had it made already. You haven't qualified yet. Please don't lose by 6 goals to Costa Rica. It shouldn't happen. USA, slow down. Whoa, slow down, Trick Daddy. But hey, USA, please make it to the World Cup. Don't be like Italy and lose back and not qualify in back-to-back World Cups. Woo, Italy used to be the pride of the world in soccer. Not anymore.
Oh boy, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a very action-packed, slap-happy edition of the Sports Bros podcast.
There you go again.
Hey, thanks for joining us. And then in closing, do something nice for yourself. And if you can, do something nice for someone else. They'll greatly appreciate it now more than ever. Love each other. Keep your hands to yourself, all right? Your mom and daddy did a good job raising you. Don't shame your parents, all right? Take care of yourself. Be good. It's been another episode of...
Don't be talking about somebody else's wife. Don't do it.
Bros Podcast. Be Live, take us home.
Yes, sir.
Hey, it's Eddie Cool here from the Sports Bros Podcast. And do you want some more of the Sports Bros Podcast in your life? Wait a minute, don't answer that. The answer is yes. And I know you want some more of the Sports Bros Podcast in your life. Do us a small favor. Go to the description box, click our Linktree link, and you'll see all the links on how to follow the Sports Bros Podcast. Once again, thanks for listening.